Hi there, welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're back, last episode of the week, What's New? And the album we're featuring today by the band is Crypto Night, and the album is called A Traveler's Tale. So 10 tracks in total on this album. So released January 17th, 2025. So it's been about 3 months now. I noted it early on, but passed it over for a few other things. But decided I still wanted to cover it. They do it. They record. The two members of the band record this stuff via their own home studio. So the one guy does the music part, and then the other guy adds the lyric and the vocal parts to it, as well as I think he does all of the what do they call it? Topping? I think that's what they call it. Let me see here. Oh, the top lining. So all of the melodies and the musical parts and the beats. Well, not so much the beats. That's done by the musician part. But yeah, so you basically got two guys collaborating from their own home studios. This is about an hour or so in length. A little bit more, about an hour and 3 minutes in length. And produced, of course, by Dave Johnson, who's one of the two guys, the musician part of the episode. So he's a multi-instrumentalist. So I've heard bass, guitar, keyboards, synthesizers on this album. There are a few almost sax-like sounding parts, but I'm pretty sure it's a keyboard that he's trying to play like a sax, but it has more of a keyboard sound to it. There are some drums on this album as well, but my understanding is that they're pre-recorded drums, drum machine, basically. So the drums are pre-recorded into the rhythm set and the way in which they want to play them. I'm not a big fan of that, but for the style of music they're playing, it's not actually all that bad. So we've got 10 tracks, like I said, on the whole here. This is also on the Monumental Music label. So yeah, we have a total of 10 tracks. First, I'll talk about the album in general. So to me, it's a symphonic neo-prog type album, more symphonic than neo-prog. See, to me, neo-prog tends to be a little bit symphonic, but also has a lot of other elements to their music. Lots of guitar soloing usually, or drum parts, or keyboard solos, those kind of things. Not a lot of that here. Definitely the symphonic part is very strong on this album. The vocal parts are very mid-range vocals. He's not on the high end, like he's not a soprano by any means. He's probably more of I wouldn't say he's bass, so he's probably more of in that baritone, medium range sounding voice. He's got a little bit of a scrapey sound to his voice. I don't even know if that's a good description of his vocals. Probably a little bit more. What did I write here for it? Let me check here. I wrote something down for it. Yeah, a little bit of a harsh element to his voice. It's not bad though. It kind of suits the music a bit. There are some melody parts on the album as well. Very little bits and pieces of it that kind of blend in with his vocals. At the same time, there's also a lot of voices. They use voiceovers quite a bit here on this album. I would say it's dominated primarily by synthesizers. For that atmospheric neo-prog kind of symphonic sounds that you normally get with that type of music, with usually a strong rhythm section, either a melody or a beat, but usually the backbone of the song will continue throughout the song, varying up on occasion, but nothing too serious. Not a lot of bass on this. Or at least low in the mix bass. The bass isn't prominent. It's a little bit further back, low in the mix, and not as prominent throughout this album. Their lyrics are good. I think they're good. They're more, to me, from the lyrics I've read and listened to, they tend to be more about the topics of the day than they are any kind of mythology or medieval type lyrics. There's not a lot of that here. What else can I say overall about the album? Yeah, it tends to be slower, more melodic sounding. There are a couple of songs where the tempo is much more upbeat and faster. Those are actually the songs I prefer. I think with bands like this, where you've got guys one particular guy who's playing everything, and he may be good at most of his instruments, but he's not exceptional. Like, he's not an exceptional musician, so they tend to keep the stuff a little bit low in the beat and a little bit more in the pace. But the music is well put together, I think. If you like symphonic prog music, or a little bit of that neo-prog sound, you'll probably like this. Okay, so I'm going to break them down a little bit individually. So the first song is called Kings and Queens. It's about almost somewhere between 6.5, 7 minutes in length. Yeah, definitely has that strong neo-prog sound. That was the first thing I noted. The drums are rhythmic. It picks up... there's a little bit of guitar picking here. He doesn't do these lengthy, heavy guitar solos, or even the melodic guitar solos, or even low-end guitar solos. It's just a little bit of picking throughout the album. Again, the vocals are in the mid-range, but a little bit on the harsh, with a little bit of a harsh element to their music. It's got a heavy, catchy riff, strong guitar parts, kind of mid-range in the album, I guess. Probably one of the heavier songs for the guitar parts here. That's what I was trying to get at. I wouldn't say it's very complex, but it does have a lot of a symphonic, prog dominant, atmospheric stuff going on here. Quite a bit of it. I like this song, maybe the best on the album. So it started out very well. It was a good song. I liked it. Next song up, the next three songs, not so good. I only passed one of the three. The second song, Here and Now, heavy drum opening with a synthesizer part. This one also came with an accompanying video, which was okay. A little bit spacey kind of feel to it. The key parts were good, but not dominant. Vocals were clear, but again, a bit of a harsh sound to it. It's slow melodic in nature, this particular track. They use the synthesizer and keyboards to create a symphonic feel, which you're going to find is very common on this album. It's slow melodic keyboard solo, nothing spectacular, but in keeping with the song, I think. I thought this was a little bit of a weak track. The video was kind of a little bit spacey, or a little bit psychedelic. There was a little bit of that, like you're on drug type thing going on. I didn't care for it too much. The next two songs, Nightmare, A Night Watchman, and Up with the Larks, I gave them both 4.5, so they kind of didn't pass the test, but they had some interesting stuff to them. A little bit more of that symphonic drum part on the Nightman's Watch. Keyboards and synthesizer dominated. I would say the guitar was a little gain, low in the mix here. Drums and synthesizer beat dominating, but not anything that's overly interesting to listen to. The vocals, low range, background, not as clear as it was on the first song. The harmony vocals and multiple voices throughout this particular track as well. And I think it's pretty much just dominated by that symphonic sound. The next song, pretty much the same here. A little bit of a melodic guitar solo. The opening is a little bit different. There's a little bit more bass. It's a little bit more noticeable on this particular track. But I'm not going to go into great depth on this song. It's very similar to the one before it, Up with the Larks is the name of it. So though flip to the backside, does get a little bit better towards the backside tracks, although the last track, or the last couple of tracks, yeah, it And on this side, or these last 6 tracks, you've got 3 good ones, 3 not so good ones. So that's the best way to put it, I guess. Kryptonite Crossed Wires is the next track. This is it comes with a video that's kind of very spacey and psychedelic. It's almost a laser show. To me, that's what it feels like, a bit of a laser show. Melodic, multi-keyboard synthesizer sounds here. Very atmospheric synthesizer sounds here. Melodic, slow programmed drum beat. Song is a bit spacey at the midpoint. The sax, it's got this sax-like sound, which I did mention earlier on, but I don't think it's a sax. I think it's probably a keyboard. The vocals commence about halfway through this track. So the first half of the track is just this kind of build-up, although it's not much of a build-up, but it moves towards this. And then you have a vocal part, which is a little bit low in the mix. The vocal harmony and lead and voice parts are all kind of mixed together like it is throughout most of the tracks. It's not really a singer with some harmony vocals and then some voices. They're kind of all mixed together. Almost a spacey feel to it. The next song out was one of the other 2 ones that I liked quite a bit. Actually, there's 3 of them. I apologize. So, Traveler's Tale, more symphonic, spacey feel. The vocals are clearer and more basic here in the mid-range, but a little bit of harshness to it. A pretty typical sound for their album. Again, another melodic, rhythmic drum part. Peaked with a rhythmic beat, and then the drums up tempo, so it gets a little bit harsher here. The song picks up speed, and then the vocals get harsher and higher. So you've got this kind of typical melodic symphonic sound at the beginning, and then it picks up tempo a bit towards the back half. I did like this track. I thought it was pretty good. SOS, which is the next track, slow, melodic, symphonic, atmospheric, too open. And you get a kind of a tempo kind of picks up here again. It's actually very similar to the Traveler's Tale in that regard. A bit faster. The drums and the rhythm are, I think, a little catchy on this particular track. The vocals are typical, nothing abnormal here, and it's a bit heavier. The bass is a bit heavier in the mix here. I like that. This was the one track where I noticed the bass was very heavy here, and this and the last track had a little bit more of that heavy bass, which I wish he'd done more of. It would have given a little bit more of a bite, a little bit of a different sound to the songs, but not a bad track. The next one, Lost Kingdom, I did like this one. Keyboard opening with a quirky kind of synthesizer part. And then you got this kind of drum section that's melodic, which is normal. Another programmed drum beat here. Vocals are heavy, harsh, and medium in range. Voices, typical add-ins that they put in throughout a lot of their songs. I think there's a keyboard guitar part working in tandem here, so it's a little bit of both going on. That's what it appeared to be to me. A very rhythmic melody throughout, and then there was a bit of a keyboard solo at the end. So I did like this one. Had a little more variety than some of the other tracks. The next track out, The Light. This was another kind of a failure, I think. I didn't really care for it. Kind of slow, melodic, spacey. Keyboards with some synthesizer background. Nothing abnormal here. It does pick up pace and has a bit of a heavier drum dominance to it. The vocals again low in the mix, but not particularly forward. And then it had a little bit of a slow keyboard symphonic sound throughout, but there was nothing very memorable about this track. There was nothing that interested me. I didn't find anything unusual or any kind of interesting catchy beat or anything like that. So I didn't really think much of this song, to be honest. And then the final track I liked as well, Winter Nights. Kind of a heavy, upbeat, rhythmic section that is prominent right at the beginning. The bass is much more distinguishable, a little bit higher in the mix, which I liked. Every song that had a higher in the mix bass, I liked. The guitar pick more forward in the mix as well. So there's a little bit more of that guitar bass stuff going on, which I wish he'd done more of. Vocals were clear, typical sound for the album. There's a little bit of that angelical, almost harmony vocal parts that they kind of added in to kind of create that atmosphere. Catchy beat, catchy melody, and the drum beat was also catchy. So a pretty good song to end the album. So they had about 4 or 5. So about half of the album was a 6 or better, which was good. But then the songs that didn't make the 6 at least were not really all that memorable. So overall, I would pass the album for sure. I don't know if I'd want to buy it. Perhaps if it wasn't too expensive, I might. But you got to order it through them online, and it's U.S. funds. So you add the 43% plus the expense that you have. It's probably looking between $25 and $30. I don't know if I want to spend that much on this album. So there might be, for those of you who really like to have their stuff right on their computer and just buy the tracks they like, there's 3 or 4 or 5 on this album that you might want to purchase individually to add to your collection. There's people that love to do this. They all their entire music catalog is stuff that they've ordered online and listened to it via the online method, which is fine. That's not my way. I don't normally do that, so I can't say what I would recommend, but there are enough good tracks on this album that you could make like kind of a half album if you wanted just to purchase some of the tracks. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of What's New. Please hit the like and subscribe. And if you want to make any comments about this band, which is called Crypto Night, the album is A Traveler's Tale. You can make any comments about either of those things or anything I've said. You can do that as well. And you can have a good evening. And I hope to see you all next Saturday for another episode of What's New. So take care and goodbye.